This week on Unscripted, news on new set of tag team titles supposedly rumored to be coming to 205 Live, new matches announced for the greatest Rumble ever, and could Paul Heyman have a new client following WrestleMania 34? All that and more this week on the future #1 podcast on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're back here with another episode of Unscripted. We are on episode 13, the end of March. We are 2 days away. We are a day away from Easter, which is odd to see on the 1st, on April Fool's, which of course is April 1st. This is March 31st, 2018. We have so much to get into, but before we get into any of the news, this past week for WWE has been a interesting one. Raw was as missable as can be. There wasn't really anything done that made you see like, wow, I need to go back and watch that. SmackDown had the Daniel Bryan, what was going to happen, what was the match going to be called, especially with the news of Shane McMahon getting diverticulitis and a hernia. So we wanted to see what was going to happen, and the news coming out now is that Shane McMahon, even though they made that match, the reason they made the match still the way they did is because it was written into the script, and they didn't have any idea who they were going to have replace him. So they're like, we'll just call the match right now as it is, and then we'll go from there. We'll probably think about something else after that. And then, of course, NXT, as always, delivers every single week. I have not seen one set of NXT since, I don't know when. I don't think there's ever been a time since NXT's been on the network that I have seen an episode that's just like, it's missable. There's always something about NXT to talk about. And of course, the only one I could see would be missable would be like the recapping review show. But like this past year, they had the best of 2017, but they added the Shawn Michaels being the special guest referee of the Drew McIntyre Adam Cole match, which you knew it was going to be on the network eventually. We just didn't know when. So NXT, of course, was the call of the show. If you also want to see something else that did great, 205 Live, there was a fatal four-way that happened on that show that was absolutely amazing. Buddy Murphy, let me see here. Buddy Murphy, Kalisto, Akira Tozawa, and TJP put on a hell of a show. And I've noticed over the last few episodes of 205 Live that the crowd, even though they've been through a 2-hour episode of SmackDown and a 25-minute episode of the Mixed Match Challenge, these matches keep getting better and better. The crowd's actually getting into them. 2 weeks ago, when Roderick Strong faced Cedric Alexander in the semifinals for the Cruiserweight the Cruiserweight title match, you could tell by the end of that match, the crowd was just getting into it. Not all the way, which, of course, you're not going to get this crowd that's been there for 2 hours and like 35 minutes or so wanting to actually get all up in it, but there was a lot more excitement by the end of that match. Same thing with this Fatal 4-Way tonight, this past Tuesday. Like, the crowd was like, and then they're like, oh, wow. Which, before we get into any of the news also, there's talk about match order when it comes to WrestleMania this year. And I've been saying it to myself, and I'm going to say it now. Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali must open WrestleMania 34. I'm not talking the first match on the pre-show. It needs to be when those credits and the America the Beautiful gets sung. That first match has to be for the Cruiserweight Championship, and please make it a ladder match. I don't want to see a multi-man ladder match like other people are pitching. Make this a ladder match. I would just enjoy a ladder match for the Cruiserweight Championship. So that would be the ideal championship match for me, and it must be on the first show to kick off the festivities. So you start off strong. There is parts of the show which the Raw Women's title match should be on the pre-show. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Anybody who thinks otherwise is fooling themselves. the fact that you took the best storyline on Raw for not Oscar, but Sasha Banks and Bayley, and you're still building the feud up for what I don't know. I don't know where this match is going to go if it's not for the Women's Championship. What is the point of having this feud? You have these two on Monday Night Raw show you why they should be going for the title, why one of them should have won the Elimination Chamber, and the other one is the number one contender, instead of this stupid feud between Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax that eeks and reeks of diva. The type of storyline that you have between Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss is something the divas back in the Divas division would have did. We were past high school bullies, fat shaming, and she was like picked on when she was a kid because of this and that. Give me a break. It's not something I want to see for a title. Give the title to the women who have worked their asses off and actually would make the title mean something. Alexa Bliss has done nothing but hold that title down. Quite honestly, since the brand split, the Raw Women's title has been the weaker of the two. It quite honestly has been. It's been hot-shotted between two women back and forth back in 2016 or 2017. You had the Bayley This Is the Good Life, which was part of a feud between Bayley and Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. You had the kendo stick on a pole match. You've had Alexa Bliss, who's only defended the title twice. This will be her third defense since she's won it back from Sasha Banks right after SummerSlam. This is like her third, maybe fourth defense. This title is meaningless. Why would you keep it on Alexa Bliss and have her go to WrestleMania to get squashed by Nia Jax, which she should? That match should be on the pre-show. It should be the very first match on the pre-show. Get that garbage out of the way. Then you have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Then you have the Women's Battle Royal, which of course will probably be on the main show, because they're doing this whole Women's Revolution. Oh, this is history, first time ever. This is not, and I'll say it again, the Women's Battle Royal is not a first time ever match on WrestleMania. They're trying to rewrite history and make you forget of the Miss WrestleMania match, Battle Royal, with, I believe, Mae Young was still alive. I think it was Mae Young. It was either Mae Young or Moolah as the special timekeeper, and they had it won by a man. So you're damn straight WWE wants to forget that match for sure. That's my thoughts on the week. This week has been interesting. When we will talk a lot more on this next Thursday, because next week's going to be a long one. Next week is going to definitely be a long one, because we have the Raw review on Monday, SmackDown Live review on Tuesday, NXT review on Wednesday. Thursday is going to be our NXT TakeOver preview and predictions for TakeOver New Orleans with the talk of the ladder match. I cannot wait for that match. John Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa, which I am still not sure on who's going to win that match. We have Andrade Cien versus Aleister Black. We have the Women's Championship and the Tag Team title match, which has not been set yet because we still have this next NXT to go for, so that's why I'm not really talking about it yet. Friday will be our WrestleMania preview and predictions over 13. There's 13 matches right now, and unless Undertaker and Cena doesn't get made, I think we're set at 13 matches. And then, of course, Unscripted Saturday morning, and, of course, NXT TakeOver Saturday night, and then Sunday, WrestleMania. So it's going to be one heck of a week, and then we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the next week. So for a week and 3 days, for 10 days, I'll be doing a lot of video content for my channel, so good for you guys. So anybody who wants to hit that subscribe button, make sure to do it so you know when, and hit that bell for all notifications, so when my videos drop, you know it. Moving on to the news, let's get into the news here. Before we get into anything groundbreaking, let's put out a congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Mizanin. Miz and Maurice have welcomed a baby girl into the world. They welcomed their baby daughter early Tuesday morning, March 27th, at 7 pounds 5 ounces. The Miz commented on the newest addition to his family on Instagram, noting that she arrived early. Maurice's due date was April 6th, 2 days before WrestleMania. The Miz wrote, "Of course, a little girl arrived early. Welcome to the world, Monroe Sky Mizanin." So that's congratulations to Miz and Maurice Mizanin. It is awesome to see that, and of course, I wouldn't expect to see the Miz on the Go Home show. For the simple fact is, you really don't need him to be there this coming Monday. They've already done enough to sell the triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. You could have Bo and Axel there, hosting their Miz TV, and because they have a tag team match between them two and Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. You don't have to have the Miz there, so he could spend up until they need to have him come to WrestleMania with his wife. So again, congratulations to Maurice and Miz and Maurice Mizanin. Good congratulations, and hope you guys have a wonderful family. So, alright, this one's going to be an interesting one. Has the SmackDown, as I call it, the useless SmackDown Top 10 list been scrapped already? You remember a couple months ago, they talked about the top 10, the SmackDown introducing a top 10 ranking list, and how it was supposed to help Shane and Daniel Bryan decide who was going to get title shots and everything. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a failure from the start. Excuse me, taking a little drink of my IBC cream soda. Anybody ever had IBC before? Pretty good stuff. And it is believed that SmackDown's top 10 ranking system has already been scrapped, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The gimmick was first launched on February 6th, but the list hasn't been used since the March 13th episode. The ranking system was announced by SmackDown General Manager Daniel Bryan. The idea was that superstars would cast a vote, but they could not cast a vote for themselves. I mean, go figure. Bryan and then SmackDown Commissioner Shane McMahon would use the list when making decisions to form Blue Brand title matches and storylines. Right there is red flag number one. You have a top 10 list for making decisions for the SmackDown title matches and storylines. The title matches. So why was the number one guy, why was AJ Styles top of the list? Why was Charlotte, the Usos, Bobby Roode at the time was the United States Champion? Why were they on the list? That doesn't make any sense if you're talking about making decisions for title matches. No sense whatsoever. It made no sense. As soon as I saw they got to number 9, and I'm like, Bobby Roode, I'm like, this list is bullshit. This list is not going to do shit for them. Well, it gave you a shitty-ass storyline for the United States Championship, but by the way, it was just bullshit from the start. While WWE hasn't used a list in a few weeks, they did a WrestleMania 34 feud out of it. The build for the United States title feud with the champion Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, and Jinder Mahal used the ranking system. As noted, Rusev was added to the WrestleMania match to make it a fatal 4-way due to, I will talk to that in a little bit. I haven't talked about that in a little bit. The SmackDown top 10 list was useless, plain and simple. As soon as I saw Bobby Roode come up as number 9, I was like, this list is pathetically useless. It's not going to mean anything. Anything they said about, the top 10 list is going to be, title matches. No. Top 10 list. You want to see a top 10 list that actually gave you some title matches? Go back to 2000, I believe it was 2010, for a little while before 10-10-10, when Impact Wrestling TNA used the top 10 list. They actually used a ranking system that actually, when they actually named number 1 contenders from this list. The champions went on there. At least the world champion wasn't on there. They had at least 2-3 months where they used this list. And before, of course, 10-10-10, which was the whole, they're coming. And it turned out to be Bischoff and Hogan taking over TNA for a while. But I like the idea that they had, because I think it was a fan vote. Which, if WWE actually used a legit fan vote, then Jinder Mahal would be nowhere near the WWE Championship, and Rusev would be the number 1 contender to AJ Styles or Shinsuke Nakamura after WrestleMania. But the second I saw Bobby Roode, the Usos, Charlotte, and AJ Styles were all on this list, I'm like, this list is fucking bullshit. This list is 100% bullshit, because how are you going to have a top 10 list and decide who's going to get a title shot if the world champion is on the fucking list? It makes no fucking sense. UFC does top 10, make a ranking system. You don't see the champion on the number. You don't see the champion for each division at the top of the list. No, the number one guy or girl, depending on the weight class or division, The number 1 ranked opponent ends up getting the title shot eventually. You can't make a top 10 list like this. Of course, we all led to just a useless United States Championship turn a United States Championship match at WrestleMania that, and I'll talk about it later because it's down further in my notes, but only got a little bit of traction when Rusev got added, and I'll talk about why he got added a little bit later. So again, the top 10 list is probably scrapped, and it wouldn't surprise me because it is kind of useless. It was only used for Jinder Mahal to bitch and moan and complain, even though he wasn't on the list whatsoever. So, if the list is gone, good riddance, it was worthless, and it wasn't ever going to do anything. It wasn't going to do anything positive, I should say. So we have a couple matches announced for the Greatest Rumble event this past week. 3 big matches have been announced for WWE's Greatest Royal Rumble event. Triple H versus John Cena, the Hardys versus the Raw Tag Team Champions, The Bar, and a ladder match with Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, and the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. Now, quite honestly, those second and third matches are to be determined. The fact that they have them like that, where it says Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, and The Miz, it should keep the Intercontinental title thing out of this so we don't know who's going to win that match. The same thing with the tag team titles. You've seen Cultaholic and other newsworthy people saying, oh, WWE spoiled a WrestleMania match because the Bar is penciled in for a match against the Hardys for the tag team titles at the Greatest Rumble event on the 27th. First things first, it does say that does mean that Jeff Hardy will be back within the next month or like before the Greatest Rumble, so that's awesome. But hold your P's and Q's, guys. The Bar, just because it says the tag team champions, the Bar right now does not mean anything. As noted, the big event is expected to air live on TV in Saudi Arabia, Australia, and the UK. It's also expected to air on the WWE Network. WWE is loading up the big event, which I did mention last week that it is going to air on the WWE Network, which will be headlined by a 50-man Rumble match due to how much money they are receiving for the first event under a new deal. With the Saudis, The Undertaker and Chris Jericho are expected to appear. I don't think either one will. Among others, the event will also feature all main roster titles on the line except Raw Women's title and SmackDown Women's title. Quite interesting, the fact that there's one thing to note here. There are people online bitching and complaining that the women are not being featured on this show. First and foremost, if you are that fucking stupid to not realize that it's in Saudi Arabia, and in Saudi Arabia, women cannot do shit. Women have to keep themselves completely covered from head to toe. They can only show their eyes. They can't do anything. So you're not going to have the 2 women's championship matches. It's just not gonna fucking happen. Just shut the fuck up and just keep it to yourself. It's just not gonna happen. Now, when it comes to John Cena and Triple H, I don't understand why they even want to put this match on. I guess they just think it's a big match when, quite honestly, it's not. The last time these two tangoed was in 2010, apparently. This is an episode from WWE.com. John Cena takes on Triple H at the Greatest Rumble, the Greatest Royal Rumble. Tickets available Saturday, March 21st. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Stamford, Connecticut for the first time since 2010. John Cena will go on head-to-head with Triple H at the Greatest Royal Rumble event at the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia on Friday, April 27th at 7 p.m. AST time. Tickets on this historic event are available this Saturday, March 31st at midnight, so pretty much today, which I'm not going to be looking out for those. I'll be waiting for the network. Tickets will be available at 10 a.m. AST in the Virgin store throughout Saudi Arabia. Ticket prices are at 20 SAR. Additionally, the Greatest Royal Rumble event will feature an Intercontinental title ladder match. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor versus The Miz versus Samoa Joe. See, I like the way they put it in the actual thing from WWE.com, where it says Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus The Miz versus Samoa Joe. It does not tell you who's coming out of WrestleMania with the Intercontinental title, so kudos for them on that. Whoever wrote the beginning of that story and said Intercontinental Champion The Miz, it doesn't say that, but... And a Raw Tag Team Championship match, the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro, which does not mean it's going to be Sheamus and Cesaro. Like I said, hold your P's and Q's. It could be Sheamus and Cesaro, or it could be Braun Strowman and his tag team partner, which we still don't know who that's going to be. I have news on what WWE's stewing out there for a potential partner right now, but I don't think it's going to happen. A ladder match is when a championship title is suspended above the ring, and the first superstar to climb the top ladder and retrieve the title is a winner and champion. Well, we all know that. General Sports Authority of Saudi Arabia Chairman His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikha, I probably just butchered the hell out of that. WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia invite the world to celebrate this signature event, which includes the first ever 50-man Greatest Royal Rumble match and 7 championship matches. Fans will also get to see superstars Roman Reigns, which I'm sure he'll just get a standing ovation over there. This will be the only place that Roman Reigns, I'm pretty sure, other than India, will probably be cheered beyond belief. AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, The New Day, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Shinsuke Nakamura, among others. The inaugural Greatest Royal Rumble will deliver live, family-friendly entertainment to passionate fans across the Middle East. It is the first event as part of a long-term partnership between WWE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Additional detail and events, including broadcasts, all that good stuff. Now, I'm just hoping that if this is going to be something they do every year from Saudi Arabia, I'm fine with that. What does the winner of the Royal Rumble get? Are we going to see a match at SummerSlam? Are we going to see a match at Backlash? I don't know. Like, what are they going to do for the Greatest Royal Rumble main event? Like, what is the winner going to get? Is it just going to be, hey, you won 50-man Royal Rumble, but you don't get anything? No, they got to put something on the line. Like, maybe you get to go to SummerSlam. Maybe you go to Backlash. Maybe you get something at Money in the Bank. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But 7 championship matches, they already named most of them, like 2 of them. Quite honestly, I think most of them are going to be WrestleMania rematches. So it's probably going to be Styles and Nakamura. Other than Roman Reigns versus I don't know who. I don't know who Roman Reigns is going to face because Samoa Joe's in the ladder match. Maybe they'll have him versus Seth Rollins. But we'll have, like, the Cruiserweight Championship match will be Mustafa Ali probably versus Cedric Alexander. We'll probably have the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos, or whoever wins that title match versus the Usos in a rematch if the Usos don't win. And Bobby Roode, like the winner of the U.S. Championship match, will probably be against probably Randy Orton as a return of the match. Crap. So I have no idea what's going to happen for the Greatest Royal Rumble, but we will have to wait and see. Moving on here, if I can get my mouse to work right. Cruiserweight Tag Team Titles Final Design Leak. If you remember a couple weeks ago, I showed these off right here, this little design, the tag team titles right here, this little concept. Well, we have a new picture that showed up, and it looks a little something like this. Pro Wrestling Sheet had a look at the documents and found that the documents also including, amongst other designs, and trademarks, a potential design for a 205 Tag Team Championship belt. The clean sheet told the opponents defeated new Tag Team Champions? ? Yes, please. So this is the final version of the Tag Team titles, which they look okay. I mean, it's nothing big, nothing to sneeze at really. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. It looks like we're going to get tag team titles. No, there's no word on when these will actually be debut. Will we see them at the night, Tuesday after WrestleMania? Will Drake Maverick come out and show you these tag team titles, and we'll work for Backlash? I'm not sure. It would be nice to see new tag team titles for, you're not going to see much more for 205 Live when it comes to other titles other than tag team. You're not going to be like Cruiserweight U.S. Champion or something like that. So you're going to get the Cruiserweight Championship tag teams, which for the United States, these would be the first Cruiserweight tag team title since the 2001 WCW tag team titles that only just debuted right before WCW was bought out by Vince McMahon and the WWF. So WWE bringing back Cruiserweight tag team titles, you know this is a Triple H move. No doubt in my mind this is a Triple H move. This is not something Vince McMahon would probably do. This is probably a Triple H move, for sure. But let me know, and there's more speculation of why this is, how this is coming to fruition, because you have the Lucha House Party, which is Gran Metalik, Lince Dorado, and Kalisto. You have the tag team of Akira Tozawa and Hideo Itami. So they can add a couple more tag teams as well, with maybe Buddy Murphy and Roderick Strong as the NXT call-ups or not, and we'll see what happens. But What are your thoughts on the design of the WWE Cruiserweight Tag Team titles that I'm showing you right now? They went from... Hold on. They went from this, which, to that, with purple. Because, of course, it's 205 Live, so they got to have their purple in there. What's nice about it is it doesn't look like the tag team titles on Raw and SmackDown. They actually had the wherewithal, if these are going to happen and look like this, that they actually do look, they look unique. At least they didn't go with like the SmackDown, like the tag team titles on Raw and SmackDown, and just gave you those with a purple strap instead of a red or a blue strap. So kudos for Triple H giving us tag team titles, if these are true to happen, that look different than what you see on Raw and SmackDown. This one, kind of like, I don't even know, but WWE is teasing mystery performer at WrestleMania 34. WWE posted the following on Twitter the other day, teasing something to kick off WrestleMania week. At WWE Universe, join us at the famous Razoo Nola on Thursday, 4/5 at 9 p.m. for a special performance from a mystery WWE superstar as WrestleMania invades Nola. Now, the only thing I can think of, it's either A, The Rock, B, Chris Jericho, or C, I don't know. Which, it wouldn't surprise me if it was The Rock making a sort of appearance, which I'll have that talking off here in a second. But it only feels like it would be The Rock, or it says mystery WWE superstar, so it's either got to be Chris Jericho or The Rock. Who do you think is going to be the mystery performer at WrestleMania week? And will it be seen on WWE Network, or will it just be for those at the Razoo Nola, whatever the heck that is? Speaking of The Rock, there is a new report claiming The Rock will be wrestling at WrestleMania 34, which I have another report after this that probably contradicts this. In a report by the Daily Star, a popular betting website, Odds Checker, is stating there is a 99% chance that The Rock will wrestle at WrestleMania this year. Odds Checker spokesperson George Elix said the following on the speculative odds, saying the following: The Rock is still one of the WWE's biggest names, and an appearance from the Great One would spike interest and generate huge publicity for Vince McMahon's business. The bookies believe he is almost certain to appear once again at the Showcase of the Immortals and 1 in 100 implies a 99% chance that we will see the People's Champ inside the square circle. If bookies are right, then that is exactly what's happening come WrestleMania 34, with a precedented 99% chance it was happening. For perspective, that's the same chance of Spain beating the Faroe Islands or San Marino. Vince has canceled it, and so I don't see this happening, because what I found out yesterday, is that there was a segment that was supposed to be planned for The Rock that Vince McMahon canceled with him and Elias. So despite this actually being mentioned and this actually happening, I call this a red herring, and anybody who thinks The Rock's actually going to wrestle, I don't want to see another Eric Rowan where we say Rock comes out, he's in his shirt, he has a pair of breakaway sweatpants on, and he has his elbow pads hidden somewhere. So I don't want to see that where it's like, ring the bell, rock bottom, 1, 2, 3. Vince McMahon, speaking of The Rock again, Vince McMahon has canceled a big segment with Elias and The Rock. This one would have been big for Elias, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen now. Despite being one of the hottest superstars on the roster, Elias hasn't been confirmed for a match heading into WrestleMania 34. During an interview with Sportskeeda, the Drifter promised the biggest performance the WWE Universe has ever seen, which means WWE officials are preparing a massive concert segment for Elias on the grandest stage of them all. Unfortunately, their plans just went up in smoke over the weekend. Elias also challenged The Rock to a singing contest during a different interview with Sky Sports, which was meant to set up a WrestleMania moment between the two men in New Orleans, according to a new report from the Dirty Sheets. Vince McMahon canceled the segment after failing to lock in The Rock for an appearance, and is becoming very doubtful that the People's Champion will make an appearance at WrestleMania 34. The plans for the segment was for Elias to prepare to perform as usual, but would have been interrupted by some WWE legends, including Jeff Jarrett, Michael Hayes, and the Honky Tonk Man. Why Michael Hayes? I don't know. Rock's role would have been to sing the final song and end the segment with Elias. However, the Great One, not being able to pee on the grandest stage of them all, has forced Vince McMahon to cancel the segment due to the lack of star power. Shawn Michaels was discussed as a possible replacement before the idea was scrapped. After 5 straight years of appearances, The Rock did not appear at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. A lot of people expected him to make an effort to be in New Orleans this year, since his cousins Roman Reigns and Nia Jax are in significant title matches on the card. The People's Champ could appear on the show, but he might not commit until last minute. It's likely he'll miss WrestleMania for the 2nd straight year. Now, what I stated before is that there was odd seekers out there saying that there's 99% chance he could compete at WrestleMania, and now this news article says that he's not going to be there, and there was a big segment. Now, both things could be true, that this was done, or the odds makers are right, and this article right here is just them putting it out there, hey, Vince McMahon canceled it, but yet we go to WrestleMania, and this actually still happens. So, put that in mind, that it could still happen, that The Rock does show up for WrestleMania, and it's just like anything else. The Rock would just show... The Rock could show up and, be hidden like he did at WrestleMania 32, where I don't think anyone knew The Rock was going to be there other than a select few until he walked out on stage with the flamethrower and then, of course, beat Eric Rowan in 6 seconds. Now, WWE officials could still move forward with a huge concert segment for Elias, but it would likely be different than what they would plan with The Rock. The Drifter could be part of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, or become Braun Strowman's tag team partner against The Bar. I have more news on that later, which I don't think it's going to be Elias. WWE officials will find a spot for him on the card for WrestleMania, but some fans will wonder what may have been between Elias and The Rock. Now, of course, like I just said, this could just be a red herring here saying, oh, The Rock's not going to be there. The Rock had this big segment planned and it was canceled. And then we get to WrestleMania. And I think if you want to do this with Elias, you could have him win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the pre-show. And then halfway through the show, have JoJo's fat ass. JoJo, Mr. JoJo, who's bouncing up and down on Bray Wyatt right now, could just sit there and... I'm terrible with Bray Wyatt, I'm sorry. But, you could have JoJo just be like, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. And the lights are out, the lights come back on, and Elias is sitting there with the Andre trophy sitting right beside him, and he could do that for the next umpteen months. Or until, they forget about it. Which you know how it is. They do it for like 3 months. They didn't really do it with Mojo. Mojo won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, was on the next SmackDown, was gone for like 3 to 4 months. So who knows what they're going to do. We'll see what happens. I'm 50-50 on this. The Rock might show up. The Rock might not show up. I'm not sure. We will have to wait and see. I would like to see what would happen, like The Rock and Elias. I could see them doing some back and forth. It would be really cool to see. But I'm going to hold out and say that maybe The Rock's not going to be there. But I'm also going to say maybe they're just pulling one over us. So when The Rock does show up, it means it's a bigger surprise. Because if it's out there now that The Rock is going to be there, it won't mean as much because everyone knows The Rock's going to be there. And The Rock is one of those few guys who actually sits there and wants to actually surprise people. So keep your eyes open at WrestleMania, because The Rock may make an appearance, and we just don't know when. Moving on to documents have been released on banned moves from WrestleMania, and will it affect WWE? Deadspin a couple days ago ran an editorial that talks about the rules put on pro wrestling events during the WrestleMania week for a Louisiana Boxing and Wrestling Commission. The piece notes through interviews conducted by Post Wrestling with a member of the commission that the pile driver maneuver is banned in the state due to an injury that occurred at an independent wrestling event and a legal battle that affected the commissions afterwards. The article also digs into many other moves that are still banned by the commission as late as 2017 in the official document. All variations of the pile driver, all variations of powerbomb, the moonsault, shooting star press, and or 450 splash, or any variation, therefore, which involves one wrestler leaping or flipping off the top of the turnbuckle to connect to the head or neck of the opponent with any part of his body, which if you're hitting a moonsault, shooting star press, 450 smash, or anything like that on somebody's head, neck, or head or neck, then you should not be You should not be using that move. As Evan Bourne, aka Matt Sydal, aka Evan Bourne from WWE, posted on Friday, he said when he came to WWE, the shooting star press was banned, and after a few weeks, he actually was able to hit airborne, which was his shooting star press, on countless opponents. Now, the reason WWE had the shooting star press banned for a good number of years was because Billy Kidman carelessly hit a shooting star press to Chavo Guerrero in a match, and he ended up hurting Chavo and like breaking his bone or his nose or something. I think his jaw or something. Like he landed right on Chavo's neck and head. So that's why WWE banned it from use, because of Billy Kidman's recklessness to actually use the move properly. So Evan Bourne, aka Matt Sydal, had to actually show WWE that he could use the move properly without hurting anybody before they actually let him use it, which he was able to, and lo and behold, that's what happened with him. The stun gun, or any variation therefore which results in the fighter's head or neck being dragged, draped, or clotheslined across the ropes. Which anyone knows what the stun gun is. You lift somebody up and just drop them onto the top rope. Move that should be outlawed anyway. That Billy Gunn back in the pre-Attitude Era almost had his head decapitated off a botched stun gun. So the stun gun, quite honestly, should just be banned for life. The striking of a wrestler's head with any object, chair, trash can, lid, etc. Yeah, that's something that any wrestling company should kind of ban anyway. The headshot, something that should be written out of wrestling as it is. No wrestler shall throw, push, shove, or force another out of the ring over the top rope. Not one. I don't know about that. There are several legal ways that performers can work around these regulations, including provided permissions and sought and obtained prior to the event by both wrestlers and the requesting wrestlers have sufficient training, athletic ability, and experience to perform the maneuver without endangering one another. This is where, does it affect WWE? And of course that is no. WWE is reporting not subjected to any of the banned move regulations as they deem competent by the commission along with Ring of Honor. So anybody was wondering if I believe that Supercard of Honor was going to be affected by any of these rules. It is not. Who are running Supercard of Honor, okay it is, at the UNO Lakefront Arena on the night before WrestleMania. John Green Jr., a lawyer who serves as the commission secretary, stated that Ring of Honor is viewed as the major leagues. So, WWE and Ring of Honor are in class, and yes, this is very true. WWE and Ring of Honor are up here. WWE is at the very top. Ring of Honor is right below WWE. Everything else is minor league to them. So, that is good for WWE and Ring of Honor too, because when I first saw this article, I was like, well, the Young Bucks are not going to be able to use the Meltzer driver, and it's probably going to hurt a couple things for them, but no. Doesn't matter for WWE, doesn't matter for Ring of Honor, so good on both of them. Backstage news on a potential partner for Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. This one is definitely a red herring because I have another news report on this person why they won't be Braun Strowman's partner. Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso is reporting that Rey Mysterio is being considered a potential option for Braun Strowman's WrestleMania tag team partner. According to the report, two separate sources claim Vince McMahon was strongly considering Mysterio get that word right, as Strowman's tag team partner if Mysterio is cleared to return to the ring. That is, Mysterio is currently out with a minor bicep injury, I don't think it's minor according to Rey Mysterio here in a minute, but could return and work WrestleMania if healthy. It was noted that Mysterio would likely sign a short-term deal if he did return, and the idea of the match would be the biggest and the smallest working together. So, that would be all nice and good and all, but Rey Mysterio addresses these rumors of a match that he would be in for WrestleMania. Rey Mysterio appeared on Below the Belt this week, in which is hosted by former UFC heavyweight champion Brendan Schaub. I'm sorry, Brendan, I'm just probably messed your name up. The former WWE champion addressed rumors that he would be appearing at WrestleMania this year. There had recently been a report that Mysterio would be working with John Cena at WrestleMania, which, of course, is a red herring. Everyone and anybody should have known that. And of course, now people are saying Braun Strowman is going to be working with him. Is expected to work WrestleMania if he's healthy, and that Vince McMahon is considering having Mysterio as Braun Strowman's tag team partner against Cesaro and Sheamus. Mysterio knows that he's not going to be able to wrestle at the event due to a tear in his left bicep that has suffered earlier this month at Northeast Wrestling Show. Rey Mysterio says, "Unfortunately, I just suffered a torn bicep 3 weeks ago." Mysterio said, "I opted not to get surgery. It is a full tear, not a this is not a minor injury. If this is a full tear and he did not opt for surgery, this dude is going to be out for a long while. But I am just going to sit back, do some therapy for it, and hopefully it'll be back next month." Yeah, no. Mysterio said that while he won't be wrestling at the show, he's looking forward to it. "This one's going to be off the hook," Mysterio noted. There's going to be a lot of good matches. Mysterio has been negotiating with WWE regarding a return and reportedly met with WWE doctors in Birmingham, Alabama a couple weeks ago to get checked out. He appeared at last Saturday's New Japan Pro Wrestling event in Long Beach, California, and teased a future match with Will Ospreay. He is also scheduled to wrestle several independent dates in May. Yeah, to anybody who wants to see Rey Mysterio versus Will Ospreay, he did wrestle him back last year during the Wrestling World Cup. He put Will Ospreay over in a one hell of a match, especially at his age and his body, the way it's breaking down on him left and right. So if you can find Will Ospreay versus Rey Mysterio from the Wrestling World Cup last year, I highly suggest you check that one out. But he is not going to be wrestling at WrestleMania. Now, of course, this could also be taken with a grain of salt, too, with him. Maybe he's just playing the fans. I don't think it's going to be Rey Mysterio whatsoever. I would like to see Samoa Joe, for sure. Rey Mysterio, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, it would be funny. And besides, if Rey Mysterio just wanted to sit there on the sidelines and just, do a splash off the top of, just sit there and let Braun Strowman beat up on everybody, on the other two, and then come in, get on top of Braun Strowman and do drop the dime, or whatever the splash is that he calls it, off of Braun Strowman's shoulders. That's all they would need to do. So, Rey Mysterio being at WrestleMania, I highly doubt it due to injury, but we will have to wait and see how that goes, and I honestly don't see it happening. If it was going to happen, we will probably know this week, or not. We'll probably not know about Braun Strowman's partner until WrestleMania. So let the speculation continue until then. The reason, as it was mentioned earlier, the reason Rusev was added to the United States Championship match at WrestleMania. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer stated that the reason Rusev was added to the U.S. title match was because of his massive merch sales. Good. It's about damn time. This guy has been one of the top sellers. He has been the top seller of merchandise on WWE.com until the night after the Elimination Chamber with his Rusev Day shirt. They have a Rusev Day calendar. They have Rusev Day hoodies. He's one of the top sellers. He sells more merchandise than Roman Reigns, no matter how much they want to tout Roman Reigns as being the highest merchandise seller, because he's not. Rusev was initially slotted to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Yeah, that would have been smart, great for him. But was added to the U.S. title match after pinning Randy Orton in a SmackDown tag team match on SmackDown Live. So, good. It took WWE forever. It felt like this guy, they've been having him lose. They've been having him look like a fool. They had all these things going wrong. Did you see that reaction? Did anyone hear that reaction at Clash of Champions when it was that fatal four-way with the Usos, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, The New Day, and Rusev Day? When he had that, I think it was a Staccolade. When he had that Staccolade on, I believe it was it was one of the Usos, I believe, or one of the New Day, and Chad Gable, and the crowd was just going wild. If that would have been a tap out, and the New Day and the Rusev Day would have won that match, that crowd just would have ate it up. Now, this match at WrestleMania, I'll talk about it next week, more into it next week. Rusev must win this match. If he does not, then you, WWE, are making a massive mistake, in my opinion. Quite simply, you are making a massive mistake. This guy has been doing everything and anything he can to get over. And, by the way, Roman fans, that's a guy getting over. This guy got over on his own. He didn't have the machine behind him. He didn't get forced down our throats. Hell, WWE's got to realize having a guy like Rusev be pushed, not hardly pushed at all, the fans are going to love it even more. So, good on Rusev, and he's been putting on some great matches. Him and Styles looked great on SmackDown the other week, and right before AJ Styles got injured, and I believe it was an MCL. And at Fastlane, him and Shinsuke Nakamura put on a really good match. This guy has worked his ass off and should become a 3-time United States champion at WrestleMania. And if he does win this match, that crowd is going to go bananas. You'll hear Rusev Day for probably the rest of the show until Dana Bryan comes out, if this match doesn't take place after that. So, moving on here, reason for Paul Heyman being the one inducting Goldberg in the Hall of Fame, which, if anyone's wondering, why is Goldberg being inducted by Paul Heyman? Why is it Paul Heyman? Quite honestly, it doesn't make any sense for me. I figured it was going to be Sting, maybe Bischoff, maybe Hogan if Hogan wasn't in the doghouse and not in WWE right now, I could have seen Hogan, maybe DDP, but Paul Heyman doesn't make any sense for me. It's now official that Paul Heyman will induct Goldberg into the 2018 Hall of Fame class. The latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter revealed why Heyman was chosen to do the honors. Dave Meltzer noted that Paul Heyman was one of the instrumental figures in the Brock Lesnar vs. Goldberg storyline heading into WrestleMania 33. Although the relationship was hidden from television because Goldberg was feuding with Heyman's client, it is now accumulated in Heyman being chosen to induct Goldberg into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything. I don't understand why that's even a big deal, but it's like, apparently it's just like they're friends backstage, which that's fine, but it's like, it makes no sense with Goldberg's history in the wrestling business. If I was the one picking somebody, which if Goldberg picked Heyman, then fine, that's fine, whatever. But in my opinion, I think it should have been Bischoff. Bischoff was the one who brought Goldberg to the light to see, for everybody to see. So why wouldn't you have Goldberg being inducted by Eric Bischoff? So that is just one of those ones that just puzzles me. It really does. So Hulk Hogan, of course, has been keeping himself in the news, trying to make it sound like he's going to be coming to WWE in the near future. He was at the Andre the Giant's documentary premiere because Hulk Hogan was a person who was a part of Andre's career. And it was not, and I know in an article it said it was at a WWE event, but it wasn't a WWE event. It was Bill Simmons and HBO doing a premiere. WWE didn't sponsor it. It wasn't a WWE event. It was a movie premiere, a movie premiere or a documentary premiere with WWE stars there. But WWE, I guess, there was rumors coming around that Hulk Hogan will be coming back to WWE soon. WWE made a statement on Hulk Hogan appearing in future WWE events. As noted, Hulk Hogan has reportedly been in talks with WWE about returning to the company to help others learn from his mistakes. Hogan is also appearing at the HBO Sports Andre the Giant documentary premiere, which WWE is a part of. Hogan told TMZ earlier this week that he might maybe someday return to WWE, but will not be at WrestleMania next week, which there's a lot of rumors that he would be coming to WrestleMania. WWE issued a statement via PW Insider saying that Hogan is not scheduled to be part of any upcoming events. Hulk Hogan is an important part of Andre the Giant's history. However, his appearance in tonight's HBO appearance on the documentary and his plans to help others learn from his mistakes does not mean WWE is rehiring him. Hogan is not scheduled to be at any upcoming events for the WWE. Hogan has not appeared since being WWE since being fired by the company in 2015, shortly before a tape containing him making racist remarks was made public. Hogan, who was upset with his daughter Brooke about dating a black man, using the N-word several times in the tape, and said, "I guess we're all a little racist." So Hogan just, he's in the news. He's around somewhere. You put a live microphone in front of his mouth, and he's going to try and talk his way back to the WWE. So that's just Hulk Hogan for you. That's Terry Bollea for you. Quite honestly, if he's not with WWE, I think they own the trademark, don't they? So I think he shouldn't be allowed to be called Hulk Hogan. But I don't know how that works. Will we see Hulk Hogan back in WWE someday? Who knows? Mark Henry, of course, in a past interview, like the last few months or so, said he should go to every African American or black superstar in the roster and in the locker room and apologize for what he did. If Hulk Hogan does that, Mark Henry's like, oh, he's cool. So if WWE gives him that chance, you never know what will happen. Moving on here, we have backstage news on AJ Styles. The injury AJ Styles may have suffered, which WWE Champion AJ Styles may have suffered an MCL injury earlier this month, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Styles and WWE have been quiet about the specifics of the injury that kept him out of the ring for more than a week this month, but word going around is that it was related to the MCL. Seth Rollins tore his MCL in his right knee back in February 2017, but was still able to make WrestleMania 33, where he defeated Triple H in a match, which it was an okay match. Styles returned to the ring at last week's WWE live events, but he worked multi-man matches to limit his in-ring participation. Styles did not wrestle again on this week's SmackDown, but he is still scheduled to face Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34 in 10 days. When this was actually taken, it would be 8 days now. Styles has acknowledged his injury in recent media interviews, but he remains confident about being able to put on the show with Nakamura in New Orleans. Styles, of course, said, if my leg got cut off, I'd find a way to make it to WrestleMania. Styles told Catch News during a call, I will be wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Triple H also commented on the injury 1 week ago. When speaking with Catch News, he said AJ is working diligently on rehabbing his injury and getting himself in tip-top shape for WrestleMania. We are trying to help him with that process of getting the best care and the best rehab and everything else possible. We're hoping for the best. Right now, he says he's feeling a lot better and will be ready to go. Obviously, we'll get him doctors to make sure that he's ready to go and get a medical clearance, if that's possible. I don't like when they say that. I hate when they're like, if that's possible, because when they say if that's possible, then there's more likely or not they'll be like, well, we couldn't get the clearance, so you're not going to wrestle. He's working very hard at it, so he's hoping for the best. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura is going to happen one way or another. AJ Styles will go through tooth and nail. He'll probably do whatever he can. If he has to tape his knee down to actually get to this match, then he's going to get there. So I am still looking forward to that match, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to happen. This next one, I don't know what drug she was on. I don't know if she was drinking the Kool-Aid, smoking the weed. I don't know. But Stephanie McMahon on if Jinder Mahal's title reign was a success, and I'll have my opinion after I read this. Stephanie McMahon was recently interviewed by the Times of India to promote WrestleMania 34. During the interview, she was asked if Jinder Mahal's run as champion last year was a success. Listen to what this stupid ass bitch has to say, because this shit makes this just shows how stupid and deaf and blind these guys in the back are. She has to say, I think his championship run was incredibly interesting and successful. I'm sorry, Steph. Were you watching WWE SmackDown at all? Oh, that's right. You're the Raw Commissioner, so I guess not. To a global audience, and not just to India, said McMahon. If he became a bit of a hero in India as a result, well, that is awesome too. Jinder, of course, is playing the antagonist here. I hate when you say that. Don't ever say when he is playing. That just kills it all right there. I think he was a homecoming hero when he performed live in India, and wherever there is a local star, there is significance to the audience there. Our audience is so much bigger, it is global, so we have the intent to entertain everyone. I'm sorry. What kind of idiot are you? She is out of her fucking mind. She is out of her fucking mind. Let's see. Worst champion in the worst WWE champion of all time. Second worst champion in the company next to the Great Khali. SmackDown was unwatchable for majority of 2017. He couldn't cut a fucking promo to save his goddamn life. Could not wrestle a damn match to save his life. He barely got a good match out of AJ Styles. AJ Styles could barely get a good match out of him. his matches with Randy Orton. Does anybody remember the Punjabi prison match? You killed Shinsuke Nakamura's momentum facing him twice. This guy, and then here's the kicker. You had 2 shows. You had 2 shows in India set up for this fucking guy to come in and be the conquering hero who's the WWE champion. And what happened? Not more than 2 weeks before Survivor Series, you took the title off of him. And then you went to India. Oh, that's right. You also canceled one of those fucking shows. So yeah, tell me how this was fucking successful. And you had to put Triple H on the card. Instead of having it was supposed to be Jinder Mahal versus Kevin Owens both times for the WWE Championship. But what happened? You took the title off of him, and imagine if he would have kept that title, how bad Survivor Series would have been. Give me a fucking break. This guy was just awful. Successful my ass. You're lucky it didn't kill the goddamn company. Fucking awful. Let me see here. And we have 2 more stories here in this week, and then we're going to call it a game. But that is just fucking ridiculous for anybody who wants to sit there and say Jinder Mahal was a successful champion. The worst WWE champion in history took the most prestigious title in all of wrestling and almost killed it. AJ Styles is doing everything he can to bring it back up to prominence where it should be. And this just shows how stupid and how bad Stephanie is, and how blind she is to the product. How many times can you say a champion comes into an event, comes into his music plays, and there's silence, just complete and utter silence, no reaction, no boos, no cheers, just silence. That was the tale of Jinder Mahal's title reign for the last 3 or 4 months. You would hear his music, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear a pin drop because nobody cared. Go watch that match at Hell in a Cell between him and Shinsuke Nakamura. And just listen to the pin drop. Just listen to the pin drop because nobody gave a fuck. Period. So yeah, go ahead and think that he was a successful WWE champion, because that just shows how much of a fucking idiot you was, Stephanie. Possible big plans for the end of Lesnar and Reigns match at WrestleMania. For as far back as many WWE fans can remember, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman have been a package deal. The Beast Incarnate sends foes to Suplex City, while his advocate does the heavy verbal lifting in his various feuds. There are exceptions, however, that this different kind of tag team might be at its own fork in the road as soon as WrestleMania 34 on April 4th. Now, of course, both guys' contracts do come up at the end of WrestleMania as soon as it gets... Quite honestly, and this is the funny thing, their contract is final on April 8th. If WrestleMania bleeds into April 9th, they will be like Brock Lesnar will. They probably have to sign Brock Lesnar to a 1-day deal for WrestleMania, because if WrestleMania bleeds into, especially if this match ends the show, like Undertaker and Roman Reigns did. Undertaker versus Roman Reigns did not end until like 12:30 at night. So quite honestly, Brock Lesnar could come to WrestleMania and not even have to wrestle because he won't be under contract if they don't sign him to April 9th. For the simple fact is, him and Paul Heyman, both their contracts end on April 8th or whenever that is. So it would be funny that they get to WrestleMania and Brock Lesnar's like, well, my contract's over, I'm done. You either pay me now or I'm out of here. But the Mania has a good article on what Heyman's post-WrestleMania plans entail. He's going to be working on a reality show of sorts with him as the subject, away from WWE and Brock Lesnar. That should work out just fine because most observers expect Lesnar to give the UFC one last shot, last because he's 40, or else he could just keep bouncing back and forth. The MMA promotion could desperately use his star power in the near future, so it makes too much sense not to happen. But let's say, for the sake of argument, and this is all from somebody else's perspective, that Heyman wants to stay in the WWE mix while Lesnar is away. Quite honestly, if Brock Lesnar leaves now, I think he's done with WWE and he won't be back. And by the time he comes back, if he would to, in say like 2-3 years, he'll be a washed-up part-timer that nobody wants to see. So if Brock Lesnar does leave now, I don't think he needs to come back. Heyman's contract is also up, and he stated that he would only be interested in staying if he were to be paired with Ronda Rousey or Brock's WrestleMania opponent, Roman Reigns. Let's get past Rousey for a second, just because that's how it is. She definitely doesn't seem comfortable this early in her career with pro wrestling style and microphone work, which we will talk about that after this whole entire story, why her promos have been awful with pro wrestling style microphone work, and Heyman would give her the same time she needed to improve. With also the fact that Paul Heyman could do the advocating and using the microphone now, and she wouldn't have to smile, and she could just be in "I'm gonna kill you" mode, like Brock Lesnar looks like he is most of the time. The much more intriguing possibility would be to pair Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, who doesn't need a talker in his corner as much as Lesnar and Rousey do. Yeah, he kind of does, but would still be that much more of an attraction with Paul by his side. Could we see a double turn in New Orleans? Reigns receiving help from Heyman to win the Universal Championship. I have been hearing sources that WWE, even though I don't buy this, it's probably just them throwing something out there, but Roman Reigns receiving help from Heyman to win the Universal title would turn the challenger heel and be a big shock to the fans, with Vince McMahon trying unsuccessfully to make him a babyface for the company for the last 3 years. Gee, what was that? Duh. It's been an awful experiment. I could see them doing this if they wanted to actually do something right with Roman Reigns. This is the way to go. Roman Reigns should turn heel. This isn't the way I would turn him heel, though, at all. I'll get to that later. A Heyman turn would allow WWE writers to lean into the mixed reaction Roman Reigns has been getting for years. Fans would already boo him, would likely continue to do so, while others who adhere to more traditional face-heel cues would absolutely turn against him. It's the chance to do what WWE never did with John Cena. Of course, they never talk about his 2002-2003 heel turn, but let's go about that for various reasons. Reigns has been a heel before and wouldn't have too much trouble slipping back into that character. Which, the last time he was a heel, he was the silent badass who just didn't do much talking. I think the most he talked was when they had the camera honed up and he's like, "Roman Reigns." That's all he did most of the time. Heyman would add only to his menace, cutting promos as well as he could, and when Lesnar returns for his eventual final WWE stint, if there is one, he'd be instantly greeted as a face, which tends to happen anyway when performers are gone for a while, and his reckoning with Heyman would be delicious. He's greeted as a face as it is in this feud. I don't know if people who are writing this article haven't watched WWE in the last 3 weeks or so, or 4 weeks. The last 2 weeks that he's been on there, he comes out, his music hits, and the crowd is cheering him. When was the last time Brock Lesnar actually got booed on WWE TV? It's been a while. It's been a long while. I mean, after the match he and AJ Styles put on, that classic they put on at Survivor Series, WWE fans have more respect for him. They really do, because if he actually cares like he did against AJ Styles, which I would love to see that match again, by the way, for a WWE Championship with AJ Styles winning one way or the other. Yes, definitely. Like WWE, it's just like other things. It's just like The Undertaker when they turned him heel back in 2001, 2002. Fans didn't boo him at all half the time, unless he opened his mouth and started talking shit. He beat the hell out of The Rock one night, came on in the next show, and people were cheering the hell out of him until he put the microphone to his mouth and started talking down to the fans. Same thing with Kurt Angle. The dude was a heel for a while. He became a badass heel, but he ended up getting cheered overall because the dude does good work. Same thing with Brock Lesnar. He's just in that category where fans are not going to boo him as WWE wants him to. He's at a point in his career. He's not the sinister, evil Brock who was in 2003, who was aligned with Vince McMahon, who beat the hell out of him and bloodied the hell out of Zach Gowen and just destroyed him. He's not that guy anymore. It's just worth keeping in mind that he could leave WrestleMania 34 by the side of Universal Champion while Lesnar is still lying in the ring, and that would be a WrestleMania moment that wouldn't soon be forgotten. Now, what they're pitching is you get a repeat of what happened in 2002 when Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar and reminded himself the Big Show. I don't see that happening. Now, WWE, I guess I've been hearing rumors that it's like word that the Vince McMahon, there's people in creative trying to convince Vince McMahon to go this route. Because it's just, look at what happened with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He started as a heel. He became a great babyface. The Rock started as a heel. Well, he started as a babyface, turned into a heel. Fans started to love him. He turned into a heel again. Fans started to love him. And he became a babyface. Roman Reigns. When Roman Reigns, there was a time when people actually cheered Roman Reigns. When the Shield initially broke up, there was still a time when Roman Reigns was being cheered until the promos, the suffering succotash, and all that bullshit happened. How would I have this happen? It wouldn't be Paul Heyman. It would be a up and coming tag team from NXT. Basically, you have the match. Heyman gets laid out by Roman Reigns. He gets a Superman punch. Heyman is down. The referee gets knocked down. The referee's down. It's Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are knocked down. Two big burly guys, and you know who I'm talking about if you can think about it. Two big burly guys in ski masks come out and start beating the holy hell out of Brock. Roman looks up and is like, what the hell is this? He's playing off. He's like, what the hell is this? He gets up to him. He grabs, they go to leave the ring. They just beat the hell out of Brock Lesnar. No finishers, no signatures, stuff. He goes to grab one, and it looks like he's about ready to fight back. And he's like, get on him. He's telling him, he's ordering him to get on him. Then the next thing you know, we get the last chapter. Whatever single team move that they could use against him, double team move they can use against him. Masks him off. It's Akam and Mazar, the Authors of Pain. They leave the ring. Roman Reigns hits a Superman punch, hits a spear. 1, 2, 3. The ref comes to 1, 2, 3, and your new Universal Champion is Roman Reigns, and the AOP are his heavies. That's how I would book it with the AOP, because someone pitched to me a couple weeks ago that the Usos should come in with the Raw and they should have the family reunited as heels. And I'm thinking, no. The Usos have become big stars on their own. It's time to help validate others. So Roman Reigns, as being this hated guy by everybody, turning heel by having Akam and Mazar, the Authors of Pain, helping him win the Universal title, and helping him keep it sometimes, he does not all the time, but sometimes, would be great for them and great for WWE overall, because the guy becomes a big-time heel. And then, of course, you know how you make him babyface is that he's pushing the AOP. Actually, that would turn them babyface. I don't know. Then how would you turn them? How would you turn him heel? You have the AOP somewhere down the line, probably about SummerSlam time, turn on Roman Reigns, and if it doesn't help, then I don't know what you do. But there's over time, you're going to have Roman Reigns, who's being a chicken shit heel by having these two big guys do his dirty work. Instead of Paul Heyman, that's been done before, but this, of course, has been done too. It would do great for Roman Reigns. He can cut promos. The AOP, And I don't think Paul Ellering is going to be around for them much. If they want to bring Paul around too, that's fine. But Roman Reigns as the leader of them, and then of course Seth Rollins comes out the next night. It's like, well, at WrestleMania, is like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You don't need these guys. You could have did this on your own. They beat. He's like, he pretty much attacks Roman. He slaps Roman Reigns or something to pushes Roman, and then Akam and Mazar come in and beat the hell out of Seth. WrestleMania ends, or you do that the next night, whichever, and there you go. You have a heel faction of Roman Reigns, the AOP, and if Paul Ellering's around, fine. If not, Roman Reigns could be the promo guy, while Akam and Mazar, who tried to cut promos, and they speak too much in their native languages that half the time you can't understand what the hell they're saying. So, Roman can help out the AOP can help get Roman to heel. And let me know what you think about that. Would you want to see Paul Heyman join Roman Reigns and turn on Brock Lesnar? Let me know in the comment section below. Finish up here with Ronda Rousey says her promos are not scripted. This one's an interesting one. Ronda Rousey has worked without a word-by-word script in WWE and films. Okay. Since signing with Raw, Ronda Rousey has not had her first match, but has been in the ring exchanging words with people like Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Kurt Angle. In an interview with ESPN, Ronda Rousey says WWE does not give her a script with lines, but rather a list of bullet points. So, first and foremost, you have Ronda Rousey go out there, night one, that she comes out there and says she doesn't want to be treated like, she wants to be treated like everybody else. She wants no preferential treatment, yet you have her going out there with bullet points. No script whatsoever, but you have Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton, John Cena himself, but even though John Cena has leeway, Matt Hardy, and everybody else other than Paul Heyman go out there with a script. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose when he's there, Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, The Miz, who also gets a little bit of leeway too, but they all have scripts. Why does Ronda Rousey get all the preferential treatment? You had her come out and say, I want to be treated like everybody else. I want no preferential treatment. This right here tells you she's getting preferential treatment. Give me a break. I have bullet points mostly, she says. They want the meaning of what's there, not the actual words. It's the same with acting sometimes, like with Pete Berg. He's an amazing director, and then realize I am better at speaking than remembering. I know I say something differently if I'm trying to get to a certain point, as opposed to I'm trying to remember what I said earlier when I made the great point, said Rousey. So, you have Ronda Rousey sitting here telling you at the Elimination Chamber, and of course I think it's past Monday on Raw, she wants to be no different than anybody else. Which, so she just contradicted everything she said on those two shows, because she's getting preferential treatment. She's getting to be treated differently than others. Why are you going to sit there and have her lie on TV if you're going to sit there and be like, well, here you go, Dolph, here's your script. Here you go, Randy, here's your script. Here you go, here's your script. Here you go, Ronda, here's your bullet points. Why is she, who's not good with a microphone for WWE, and why she should be paired with Paul Heyman? Because she is not good at a promo. And if anybody could use Paul Heyman's guidance for a promo, it would be Ronda Rousey. So, get her off the microphone after WrestleMania, pair her with Paul Heyman, which would make her a heel, by the way, and go from there. Don't do any of this bullshit. If you're going to give her preferential treatment when it comes to and giving her bullet points, just give it to everybody else. There's others out there who could be giving you good promos. Look at John Cena and look at Miz when they go off the script, when they're not on the script. When you see Paul Heyman unscripted, when you see John Cena unscripted, The Miz, when those guys are shooting from the hip, they have great promos. When they're scripted, it's terrible. I hate seeing guys like Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, who aren't scripted before they came to WWE, and now they are heavily scripted. It's just awful. Let these guys be themselves. Don't just sit there and be like, well, you have to say this, this, and this. No, be like, it's like Roman Reigns. Okay, Roman, you're facing Brock at WrestleMania for the Universal title. That's all you need. Tell me how we're going to get there. Tell me what you're going to do to Brock Lesnar. Say what the hell's on your mind. Not, here you go, Roman, here's a 20-page script on what you have to say this coming Monday. Why does she get bullet points while everyone else is scripted, minus John Cena, I believe, The Miz, and Paul Heyman? When Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton can definitely do without the scripts. So, it just makes no sense why they would even do that. But that is your Unscripted for this weekend. We have WrestleMania. The next 10 days after Sunday is going to be craziness. We will be here Monday through the Wednesday after WrestleMania. So I will see you guys then. Follow me on Twitter at TheFrauds. Follow me on twitch.tv/TheFrauds08, where I stream every single day. I will be taking next Saturday and Sunday off on Twitch because of WrestleMania week with the TakeOver and WrestleMania, which is going to be an all-day event. I will see you guys on Monday for our Monday Night Raw review, the go-home show to WrestleMania for Monday Night Raw, which they have billed as the most epic Raw before WrestleMania. Don't miss it. Till then, my name is France, and I am out of here.